Hi class, and welcome to the first week of Introduction to Healthcare Delivery Systems. So in this video, I'll be going over the materials that are provided to you in this module as well as the assignments that are due. Now in each week or each module in this course, you'll find a video similar to this one where I'm introducing you to the week and just very briefly going through the content pages in the module for the week. All right, so let's get started. So as you can see, the first thing you notice on the content page are the learning objectives for this week. Remember, this is a very short term. It's 5 weeks, and we're covering a lot in each week. So as you can see, there are a lot of learning objectives. Now, below the learning objectives, I have the assignments that are listed. So there are a couple of assignments that are due this week. First is the syllabus quiz. Once you have a chance to go through the syllabus, you will complete the syllabus quiz. You have an unlimited amount of attempts for this quiz. However, I do expect you to hit 100. It is mandatory and required for the course, but the actual score does not go towards the grade in this course, but it is mandatory. And I do want to really quickly point out, I'm sorry for the typo there with the date. I just don't want to confuse you. I'll make sure to have that changed. You also have your first discussion board assignment. You have 2 discussion board assignments this week, but the first one is the icebreaker discussion board assignment. And this is where you will be introducing yourself to the class, just telling us a little about yourself. And your post should be between 300, possibly 500 words. And you'll also be completing something called Flipgrid. Now, in the instructions for the discussion board form titled Icebreaker, you will find the link for the Flipgrid, which, by the way, can be completed on your computer or on your mobile phone or on your tablet. And it's a very easy to use tool. You'll be creating a very short video along with your written introductory post. And in the video, you'll be introducing yourself to the class. Now, the idea is for us all to kind of familiar ourselves with each other and just get acquainted with everybody in class. All right, and you also have a discussion board assignment titled Learnscapes. Now remember, Learnscape is the learning tool that is one of the required learning materials in this class. It's those virtual scenarios. And what you'll be doing is you'll view the virtual scenario that's titled The New System, and you'll write up a recommendation. I'm expecting a well-written recommendation. Any outside sources that you've researched, make sure to cite them, as well as, or include an in-text citation, as well as referencing them at the end of your post. I do want to make sure that it is clear that when you're prompted in the virtual scenario to submit an email or submit your recommendation through Learnscape, do not. I won't be viewing it through there. I will be viewing your recommendation through the discussion board forum, which the link is found in this week's module. All right. Now, I do also want you to brainstorm the global/national health topic that you have for, that you will be researching for this class. Remember, one of the main projects where you'll be researching the topic, creating a very detailed outline, since I'm not requiring you to write a full paper, since it's such a short course. And you'll also be creating a video presentation. So make sure it's a topic that really sparks your interest. All right. But that's due next week. I just kind of wanted to throw it in there for you to start thinking about. All right. So let me go through the rest of this content page. So first, we have the readings listed, chapters 1 through 4. And then I have the video lectures below that, the video lectures for the chapters covered. I'm going to scroll a little further down. Last but not least is our weekly checklist. Make sure you complete everything on this checklist before going on to the following week. Now I'm going to go to the next content page where you'll find the chapter PowerPoints as well as some additional information from the chapters covered for this week. All right, so let me click the next button. All right, so here we are. So on this page, we have the chapter PowerPoints, which are a great guide to use as you read the chapters. And then I also have the terms that go along with each chapter. Now below that, you'll see that there are some, I have a title as some info from the chapter, but it's kind of like additional information. A lot of it is in the book, others aren't, but here from chapter 1, we have the basic healthcare delivery functions. Just make sure to go through it all. Below that is a figure illustrating the external forces affecting healthcare delivery. And then the main characteristics of the U.S. healthcare system. And very briefly, a little on global health, like healthcare systems of other countries, global health challenges and reform. And yes, let me go a little further down. All right, so here is actually a table on the disciplines of public health, just going through the 5 core disciplines of public health, as well as an explanation of each. And then, as you can see, here is the epidemiology triangle. I tried to find a diagram that really illustrates it clearly what the agent, host, and environment are, and help you understand how it's used when assessing an outbreak or an epidemic. Now, below that are the 3 levels of prevention, being primary, secondary, and tertiary, as well as examples of each, so you kind of get an idea of what, definition of each and kind of a little description or example to be able to read about. Now, below that is a diagram. It's actually the Force Field and Wellbeing Paradigm of Health by Henrik L. Bloom. And it's really been extensively used by health planners and health educators to provide the rationale for a systems approach to health. And it really takes kind of a holistic approach, making sure to kind of cover all the corners, covering, healthcare as well as genetics, environment, and behavior. When we're looking at an illness or health well-being. It includes the major determinants of health, which in this case would be healthcare, genetics, environment, behavior, and lifestyle. And then I have here listed the consequences for healthcare delivery system. And then we jump to chapter 3. And this little table here kind of looks at the development of science and technology. And I go into listing, which I think, I'm pretty sure the same information is in your textbook. It goes into the 5 main factors that help explain why the medical profession remained largely an insignificant trade in pre-industrial America. And then the 7 factors that really contributed in the transformation. And then the last section for chapter 3 covers the topic of the rise of private health insurance. And then in chapter 4, we go into the differences between an MD and a DO, the similarities, as well as the primary differences between the two. I also have included here a little more information on primary care versus specialty care. And last is a little section on the global trend in healthcare professionals. All right, so now I'm going to go to the next content page and just briefly go over the videos for this week. Now, I won't be going through the links, but for all the assignments that are due this week, there is a link, meaning there's a link found in this week's module for the syllabus quiz. There is a link for the discussion board forum titled The Icebreaker. Remember, you will find in that the instructions for that discussion board forum. You'll also find instructions on Flipgrid and the link for it. And you'll also find a link for the discussion board dedicated to the LearnScape virtual scenario. Remember, it's the first scenario. You will be putting together a recommendation, and you are responsible for responding to 2 of your fellow peers. Now, in future videos, I will try my best to not make it so long. I know this one was a little long, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. All right? Okay, so here I have the videos for this week, and there's a number of videos that are listed for Chapter 1. First one is by T.R. Reid, where he talks about healthcare systems around the world. And then a video on healthcare in China. And last for Chapter 1, a video on healthcare between countries. Then for Chapter 2, the first video listed is titled Global Disease Detectives in Liberia, Nairobi, and Kenya. And this video is actually a pretty interesting one. It was produced by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And it's a film that takes place in Liberia, one of the largest urban informal settlements in Africa. And it really highlights the importance of maintaining surveillance indicators to prevent the spread of infectious disease, especially in very densely populated, in this case, urban slums, where a lot of times sanitation may be suboptimal and emerging diseases could spread very rapidly from person to person or slum to slum. Or slum to neighboring communities. It is a short video, but it's a really interesting one. Below that video is one titled What is Public Health? Just a general view of what public health is all about. And then there is another video on social determinants of health by Dr. Claire Pomeroy. It's a really great talk on determinants of health and how they affect the health and well-being of individuals and populations. And then the last 2 videos, one is on determinants of health, focusing on Healthy People 2020, and below that is just an overview or the vision for Healthy People 2020. Then for Chapter 3, the first video focuses on the history of health insurance. Below that is the modern healthcare system in the U.S. And then the last video is a very, it's an important video to watch, very short, and just really focuses on the main concepts, main insurance concepts. And then in Chapter 4, there's one video on primary care physician shortage. So that kind of gives you an idea of everything provided to you for this week. Please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. And that pretty much wraps it up. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.